The vast generosity of women is a mysterious tunnel, and no one knows where it leads. The writing on its walls is a trick question, and for a man, he must realize that he cannot reason his way out. I read these words this morning in the closing pages of Tayari Jones' An American Marriage. I really was convinced that this book was going to be about something else. I thought it was going to be about the problem of mass incarceration of black men in America, and it certainly was about that, but it was about so much more. As Tayari Jones points out by remembering the sage advice of her mentor, she says, always write about people and their problems, and not about a problem and their people. As I was finishing up the read this morning, my memories thrust me back to when I was a much younger man and I was serving as a chaplain for the county detention facility in Mississippi County, Arkansas. I remembered one sorrowful moment where I had to inform a young black man that his mother had died. So I gathered myself, I whispered a prayer as I walked into the cell, and that young man was there alone atop his bunk. I placed my hand gently on his shoulder and I informed him that his mother had passed away. There was silence between us. And then one single solitary tear made its way from the corner of his eye, down his cheek, and then off of his face. The young black inmate knew that his mother was sick, but I'm sure in that moment that nothing prepared him to hear that his dear mother had died. Just one tear was all this black young man would give himself permission to shed in front of me. In my limited experience, there was no way that I could relate to what this inmate was feeling. I was white. He was black. I was free. He was incarcerated. I enjoyed the fellowship of my family, and he remained separated from the ones that he loved. This young man was locked away from society and had to endure the added humiliation of hearing of his mother's death from a stranger. After a moment, he asked me about requesting from the warden if he could attend his mother's funeral, and I agreed that I would follow up on his request. Emotions and memories are strange bedfellows. At the time, I really thought that I was the hero for serving these incarcerated men. But looking back, most of what I did in the name of service to others and to God was most often in service to myself. I was ignorant of the reasons my captive audience were serving sentences. I was willfully ignorant of most of their life experiences. Tayari Jones' work of fiction, An American Marriage, stirred these emotions in me. And she concludes that book with an essay entitled, This is a Love Story, where she shares this quote, "What happens to you doesn't belong to you. Only half concerns you. It's not yours only." The sadness that populates my heart upon recollection of these memories is magnified by the fact that although I remember saying that prisoner's name, I now cannot remember his name. I can certainly blame this on the years that have passed. It's been a really, really long time. But as I reflect today, it's more likely that I was intent on never remembering his name. I was attempting to fulfill a position as a chaplain for the experience that I gained as a minister. But upon reflection, I missed the most important part. It was never really about gaining experience as a minister, but it was about ministering to the people in my care. Yet amid my lament, I'm grateful for the memory. I'm thankful that he was courageous and vulnerable enough to share that single solitary tear with me. I'm thankful that Tayari Jones wrote her novel. I'm thankful that I read it. There are still trick questions in the world that I'm attempting to answer.